The Leafs lost 7-1. 7-1. Hello guys, welcome back. My name is Nathan, and today I felt the need to talk about the Toronto Maple Leafs, their horrendous start to the NHL season, and a terrible start that could lead to some more trades throughout this season and in the future for Toronto. Now when it comes to the Leafs, they started their season off with a 2-3-1 record, and with a team that's perennially a great team in the regular season. They haven't exactly played like it and just got smacked by a Pittsburgh team that had almost none of their players, 7-1. There's a lot of Leafs fans right now that have even messaged me telling me about how panicked they are right now, and rightfully so. But what is really going on in Toronto? Will they be okay? And what trades and moves could we see to hopefully help the Leafs throughout this year? Watch till the end for all the trade rumors and all the analysis for the Leafs start and their future, and make sure you hit that subscribe button if you are new. 60% of the people that are watching are not subscribed. If you like hockey, this channel is the place to be, and we're almost at 50K, so every bit helps. Now, the Leafs obviously have started off with a 2-3-1 record this season, but it's not the record that, in my opinion, is the biggest concern for the Leafs. Yes, being under 500 for a team that is usually great in the regular season only is a major concern, but at the same time, if you win 2 games, you're back over 500, and you're back in the playoff race in that competitive Atlantic. I don't think it's much of a problem, but it's more the way the Leafs are losing that I think is the biggest concern and should be the biggest concern for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Again, I don't think having a losing record this early in the season is a bad thing necessarily. We've seen teams come back from that time and time again, but it's how this Leafs team is playing and the reasons they're losing that are the biggest problems with this team. It'd be one thing if they were 2-3-1 and their highest paying forwards were getting the job done, they were scoring a bunch of goals, but maybe the defense wasn't where it should be or the depth wasn't there for the Leafs, but it's been the exact opposite. At times, the depth has been the greatest thing for the Leafs, and the goaltending has stepped up in major ways this season, as well as Jack Campbell continuing his great play. It's been the highest paying forwards time and time again, not getting it done, and we've seen it in the playoffs, and now we're starting to see it truly in the regular season, and that to me is the biggest problem for the Leafs. They are a top-heavy team, and their top-heavy talent is not producing whatsoever. And it's not like they're not producing, like Marner would get like 3 points in 6 games, less than he gets usually. Mitch Marner has 1 assist in 6 games played, and he's getting paid $11 million. With Marner, obviously the playoff statistics and the play was not good, but at least he had the regular season play to back it up. Now, there's pretty much nothing, and the top end forwards pretty much all across the board have done nothing so far this year. And you know pretty much every single playoffs how the joke is the Leafs top end forwards don't get anything done and they rely on guys like Jason Spezza to get their scoring for them come playoff time. Well, now they're not even waiting for the playoffs. It's right here in the regular season. Jason Spezza is second in scoring on this Leafs team. And guys like Marner, even though Matthews only played 3 games, but he has 0 points, guys like Tavares have been nowhere to be seen. At least in regular seasons past, these guys have been producing, but it's not even the case anymore. When it comes to the Leafs scoring so far this year, it's pretty crazy to actually look at. The first score is William Nylander, number 1 on the team, with 2 goals, 3 assists, 5 points in 6 games played. He's been classic William Nylander, being fantastic, and if it wasn't for him and a few other depth players, this Leafs team would be just awful right from the very start. At number 2, you have Jason Spezza, who has 3 goals, 1 assist for 4 points. Jason Spezza, their second highest scorer. Coming in number 3, they have their free agent signing, who was under $1 million, I believe, in Michael Bunting, who I thought was going to be great for the Leafs, so far has been. 2 goals, 1 assist, 3 points. Then at number 4 in scoring, with guys like Marner and Tavares on the team, is Wayne Simmonds, who comes in at 1 goal, 2 assists, and 3 points. Then you have the top 5 as well. Tavares tied with him, 1 goal, 2 assists, 3 points. And Engvall, 6th, with 1 goal, 2 assists, 3 points. And Riley with 3 assists for 3 points. And then all the way back down to 13th in team scoring is Mitch Marner, who has 1 assist in 6 games played. He has less points than Rasmus Sandin. And that's the point that we're at right now. He has less points than Rasmus Sandin, who's in a depth role, is this young up-and-coming defenseman. Mitch Marner was spectacular last season in the regular season. Awful in the playoffs, but it seems like he's continued that playoff tradition and continued that playoff play into this regular season, and has just been abhorrent. Then you have Auston Matthews, who is 19th in team scoring. Even though he's only played 3 games, he's had 0 points, 0 goals, 0 assists in those games, and has also not looked great great. He was good in the first game, but since then has not been on his game, and it seems like he might have been rushed right back to the NHL lineup. It's just all disastrous for Toronto, but just 4 points between Tavares, Marner, and Matthews, that would have been inexcusable last year. And especially when this Atlantic division is even more competitive, these type of stats are the worst case scenario for Toronto. Across the entire NHL, their stats are pretty interesting when it comes to their goal scoring, the goals allowed, the penalty kill, the power play stats, and everything that I think also paints the same type of picture for Toronto. Now, of course, they're 2-3-1. They're tied for the most games played in the NHL, yet are 21st in the NHL standings. They are tied for 28th place in goal differential, just right down there in the bottom. I think tied with the Vegas Golden Knights. And when it comes to their actual allowed goals, they've allowed the 8th most goals in the NHL this year, which obviously against the Pittsburgh Penguins having that 7-1 game definitely affects and inflates those stats, but at the same time, Toronto's just not been good enough in either side of the puck. Now, in terms of power play percentage, they're 24th right now in the NHL, which is once again another thing that seems to be continuing from the playoffs and the second half from last year, which is not good because the power play needs to be better for the Leafs to have success, both in the regular season and the playoffs. And when it comes to their PK, that's actually a good strength for them so far, 8th in the NHL, but the penalty kill was solid last year. That was not the problem. The power play and the offense was the problem at times, and it seems like from that Habs series, it's bled over to this season starts, and it's just a bad sign for the Leafs. If they continue that type of play, that type of play against the Habs on this season, it's going to be a very long year. And honestly, if they continue even a little bit of this play, I could see them missing the playoffs. That Atlantic division is fantastic, and no spot for them is guaranteed. Now, there's a few other big stats that I find fascinating when it comes to this Leafs team. Right now, they're 5th in shots per game, so they're heavily outshooting their opponents a lot this season. They're also 4th when it comes to goals, or expected goals for per 60. Basically, when it comes to that and expected goals, it basically counts how many times a team is able to generate high-quality scoring chances and scoring chances by themselves. So the Leafs are generating chances, they are getting opportunities, and especially when you count the shots into play, they are getting shots on net, and they are getting scoring opportunities. It's just they can't shoot the puck past the goaltender to save their lives, and that's been the case with the first line for the Leafs, at points with the second line with the Leafs, and at points with pretty much every single Leaf this season. I mean, Matthews is a good example of that too. He had great expected goals per numbers in his first game, yet it seemed like he could not put the puck past the net, or in the net, to save anybody's lives. And that's basically the way it's been for the Leafs this season. They've been outshooting, they've been outchancing the opponents, and I think they'll eventually get some more shooting luck, but at the same time, it feels like the exact same situation as the Habs series, where yes, they were outshooting them, outchancing them, but it didn't matter. The Habs were the team that could put the puck past the goaltender, and the Leafs could not. And it seems like that exact same thing has bled into the start of this season. And even though those stats do count the inflated 7-1 Pittsburgh game, let's be honest, the Leafs still played that game and still stunk it up, so they deserve to have those stats count throughout their season so far. And I thought before that game, that's the exact type of game the Leafs lose, and it's the exact type of game the Leafs have in the palm of their hands, yet give away to a Penguins team without Rust, Crosby, Malkin, Letang, Jeff Carter. So many big names were off that team, yet they still found a way to not just lose, but get absolutely demolished. And to me, that's the biggest concern for the Leafs right now, is losing those games, but also losing them as badly as they have been. It doesn't matter if you outchance your opponents, if you can't stop pucks and you can't score pucks. That's really the biggest thing it all comes down to. With past series, every single time it seems like the Leafs might have a good advantage when it comes to chances and possession. Possession's a big thing, but when you can't turn possession into chances, when you can't turn chances into goals, it does not matter. We've seen that so far this year. We've seen it with Mitch Marner, Matthews, and other guys in the past, and it's continuing to happen this season. And I do see it turning a page eventually. I see the Leafs still being a playoff team, but this is a worrying start for a team that needed to start off well to get the Leafs fans back on the wagon. And so far, they've done the exact opposite. And to me, it might just seem like a slow start, but this is the exact opposite start the Leafs needed, and I do think we could see some moves coming out of it as soon as this next month. If the Leafs are still around, maybe even a below 500 record by the time December starts, I feel like the Leafs are going to be in panic mode to get something done. I mean, let's be honest, this is not the Canadian division where you have easy opponents after easy opponents. This is the Atlantic division who has Florida, Boston, Tampa. You have so many good quality opponents. Detroit Detroit's looking good. Buffalo's looking good. And even though Montreal might not be as good as advertised, there is still so much talent to go through in that division, and there's barely any easy wins. I mean, the Ottawa Senators are a great example of that, even though the Rangers made it look like it in the third period of the last game. Still, that Atlantic division is tough, and for the Leafs to start off this badly for a team that is great in the regular season consistently is a terrible sign. And with guys like Marner especially, who are regular season merchants, to not be doing anything is awful. And I like the Leafs. I like watching them succeed. I hope they win the playoff series this year. But Marner is on my fantasy team, and I don't know how I'm winning right now, even without him doing just jack squat. But this man needs to be better. Matthews needs to be better. Tavares needs to be better. But Mitch Marner to have 1 assist in 6 games played is blasphemous. And I don't think we'll see him traded throughout this year. I don't see it happening. But if Marner continues this and the Leafs miss the playoffs, you know it's going to be scorched earth in Toronto. You're going to see the Kyle Dubas gone. You're going to see maybe even Sheldon Keefe gone. You're going to see Marner gone at the very least. You're probably going to keep a guy like Matthews around, maybe Tavares, but let's be real here. A lot of that team is going to be much different if this continues and this Leafs team continues, but especially Mitch Marner. If the Leafs miss the playoffs, it's going to be awful, and he is going to be traded, I think, on day one when they're allowed the opportunity, man. It's just awful. I don't know how Marner allows himself to be this bad. It's just been just an awful season from head to toe, and if he isn't able to produce, then the rest of the Leafs are a lot more screwed than usual. He was a guy that a lot of the times throughout the regular season, the past couple of years, has been the main offensive producer, and now with him being as bad as he has been, it leaves the rest of the team in a much bigger hole. And it leaves guys like Jason Spezza needing to be a top scorer, which should never be the case for a guy as old as him and a guy that should be just the veteran leadership guy. But now he's supposed to score 3 goals in 6 games and keep that pace going for the Leafs to even have a chance. It's just awful. And the thing was, in the past offseason, and even the offseason before the last season, we heard directly from management and Kyle Dubas and everybody that if this Leafs team continues to fail, if they can't get past the first round of the playoffs, it would be over. It would be over for this core, and they would not get another second chance. They got a second chance after this last offseason, but we knew from Kyle Dubas, Brendan Shanahan, that if it happened again, if the Leafs did this again, it will be a lot different for the next season. And just imagine this. Imagine this. The problem is making it past the first round. Imagine they don't even make the playoffs in the first place. That is the reality that we're kind of facing right now with the Toronto Maple Leafs. And I still think they'll be a playoff team. I think they'll eventually turn the page. I don't think Marner's going to be this bad forever. But at the same time, it leaves a bad taste in the mouth. Marner especially was the one guy that needed to prove something to start out the season for Leafs fans and fans really everywhere after that horrible playoffs against the Habs. He has been the most disappointing, maybe the most underwhelming player in the entire NHL this season. But hey, if the Leafs lose another series, I guess it'll be much easier for Morgan Riley to walk away, right? And that's just another situation for this Leafs team that they need to worry about. But that'll be it for today, guys. That's kind of my thoughts on this Leafs team right now, and I'm not even the biggest Leafs fan. I like the Leafs, I like watching them, but they're not my favorite team at all. I just hope they have some more success, but for Leafs fans out there, I am so sorry that for your loss, for your opportunity to cheer for another team that was just wasted. I'm sorry about that, but hopefully everyone that watched today's video will enjoy it. If you did, make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. Comment down below, what do you guys think about the Toronto Maple Leafs right now? What would you fix to change them? What do you think about Mitch Marner and Matthews and Tavares and all these guys' performance? What would you guys do and what do you guys think? Make sure you share this video with anybody you know, any Leafs fans or hockey fans you guys know online or anywhere, and make sure you click on this card right here for all of my Hockey Rankings content right on one playlist. My name is Nathan. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.